Welcome to the Coaches Spotlight series on Fitlete Radio. My name is George Wagon III. Now let's meet our coach.
Hi, my name is Stephanie Rojas. I am a nutritional therapy practitioner, a certified macro coach, and a personal trainer based out of Miami, Florida. I work with clients in person and I also do online coaching. My background is actually in accounting. I'm a CPA, but nutrition and fitness have been my true passion for a very long time. So, about 4 years ago, I decided to pursue this, and now I am in the process of making coaching my full time business. I work primarily with women, a lot of them over 35, who are frustrated because they feel like they've done everything right and they're still not seeing results. My approach is really rooted in the fundamentals: strength training, eating enough to support our bodies, getting movement in, getting good sleep, stress management, all the things. And I go deeper into things like lab work, digestion, and root cause health because I really want to understand what's actually going on with someone. So, I really believe to establish a solid foundation is super important so that our bodies could be in a healthy state to achieve our goals.
While there might be many, take a moment to think about all you've done as a coach and tell me one of your favorite moments as a coach in your career or practice that you have. It doesn't have to be one specific person, place, or thing, but maybe some realization or reaffirming moment you experienced because you were someone's coach.
One of my favorite moments as a coach, and I can't really point to a specific moment, it's different moments, but I would say is when clients really show those internal wins. So, yes, I love the good, amazing before and after transformations. They are amazing. I'm not dismissing those at all. Seeing someone's bodies change and them achieve their goals is super exciting and validating. But my favorite moments are the internal wins that my clients experience when they get so excited because they're feeling stronger, or when they can't believe how much better they're feeling and how much more energy they have, when they feel really confident and comfortable in their own skin, healing their relationship with food. When someone tells me they went to a birthday dinner with their family and they just ate, they had cake, they enjoyed the meal, they were present, and they didn't spiral afterwards. They didn't go home, they didn't feel guilty or spend the next 3 days, just trying to make up for it. Those are definitely my favorite moments. When people spend years having a really complicated relationship with food and then you know, they they surpass that, they get past that point, that's huge. I also think about clients who come to me having tried everything, every diet, every program, they're exhausted or they're just feeling defeated. And honestly, they're probably convinced that nothing works for them. So, watching that shift, watching someone go from nothing works for me to, oh, okay, now I actually understand what my body needs, that transformation is internal first and the external stuff follows. So, that's truly what I love most. Those are my favorite moments. And that's why I do this.
To me, real coaches join the industry with the best intentions. Helping people is pretty much at the core of their mission. Over time and with some new experiences, some further learning, some of these beliefs, methods, techniques, and the general approaches to how we coach can change. No one's perfect when we start. Nobody has the perfect system, especially in the beginning. What's something you used to believe as a new coach, but no longer do, or no longer see as important in your practice as a coach?
Something I used to believe as a coach, but no, not that I no longer do, but maybe I just approach it differently, is definitely the idea that if you're not losing weight, you just need to eat less and less. Eat less, move more, definitely be in a calorie deficit. If you're in a calorie deficit, you absolutely will lose weight. It sounds logical on the surface, right? Calories in, calories out. And I am not dismissing that. I am not dismissing energy balance. It is very real. I understand that. And calorie deficits do work. But the real question that now I approach differently is this person in a healthy state to start a calorie deficit? And will the body even respond to it? What I see constantly with women I work with who have gone through years of dieting on and off, losing, regaining, constantly jumping from diet to diet is that it is going to have an impact on their metabolism and the other functions in their body. We grew up, millennial women were grown up with that diet culture of eat less and probably doing just a ton of cardio, solely cardio, and with little to no strength training, living very stressed lives, not sleeping well, and with all of these things going on, it's not really a surprise if the body isn't responding. And although a calorie deficit, some will say, it will still work, sure, but for this person, that deficit may be too low for it to even be healthy or sustainable based on where their current state is, where their health is, where their metabolism is at right now. So I've definitely shifted my thinking to what does this person actually need more of? Do they need more food, more protein, more rest, more lifting, more consistency over time? Do we need less restriction, less obsessing over the scale every single day? Sometimes less is more. And so it's take a very nuanced approach for each client. It's not a one size fits all. And so now that is the lens I bring to every single client now.
I've been a coach for about 15 years now, and I can tell you new clients, they come from anywhere, especially nowadays with so much exposure for business being online and on social platforms. In my career as a personal trainer, I've encountered people in consults who are looking for help, but then say things like, I think I'll get a personal trainer when I'm in better shape. This used to really confuse me. How do you handle prospective clients who've reached out to you for help but don't feel or believe they're ready for your coaching yet?
For clients who reach out but don't feel like they're ready, I typically try to not push. For me, there's no point in trying to force someone into something they are not ready. There's a lot of pressure to close every lead, every overcome every objection, get the sale, and I get it. But that's just not how I operate. When someone reaches out and says they're interested but they're not sure that they're ready, I actually think that's worth slowing down and really listening to because I'm not ready can usually mean a lot of different things. Sometimes it means I've tried things before and they didn't work, and I'm scared to get my hopes up again. Or sometimes it means, I don't have the bandwidth right now with everything going on in my life. They don't see how they can like make it fit or make it work. Sometimes it means I want to do this, but I don't fully believe that I can. So these are all very different situations, and I think they all deserve a real conversation. Sometimes it's helping them see what they're not seeing. So what I usually do is just ask, what is holding you back? What has or hasn't worked before? Like, what would you need to be true for you to actually feel ready? And a lot of times, just having that conversation, feeling heard and not necessarily pressured, actually helps someone move forward on their own terms. But if someone is genuinely not in a place to commit, I'd rather be honest about that than, take their money and set them up for a bad experience. I don't think that's good for them or for myself. So I want clients who are ready to commit, not to be perfect, but to commit to showing up for themselves. And I want to give them the support during that process and getting them to that place. So definitely a little bit of a conversation, not necessarily pressure, but helping them see what's actually holding them back, their own objections, and if they're real or if they're just scared to move forward. Helping them surpass that.
I think being a coach is really unique, and often the methods and systems we use are pretty specific to the person we're working with. We meet people who sit all across this range of being quote unquote bought into the process, and it doesn't always show itself in the initial stages of building a relationship between client and coach. When clients show some resistance to following your advice, how do you handle that situation?
I try to get curious and ask questions because resistance is always telling you something. And I think it's our job to figure out what that is. Sometimes resistance means a client doesn't fully understand the why behind what I'm asking them to do. So, like if I tell someone to eat more and they push back, I don't think that's defiance or anything. I think it's probably more fear. They've been told their whole dieting life that eating more is bad, that more food means more fat. And I'm asking them to do something that feels completely counterintuitive. So in that case, I think it's my job to explain the reasoning, build the trust, show them the data. Education is a big part of coaching that I don't think probably gets talked about enough. So I really like to make sure my clients understand the why behind everything. Sometimes resistance is a real barrier that I wasn't seeing. Maybe the meal timing I suggested doesn't work with their schedule. Maybe the training frequency is too much given what else is going on in their life. In that case, then I need to adjust, not necessarily them, but more so on my end. You can have the most perfect or optimal plan, but if someone can't execute it, then it really doesn't matter how great it is. So, a good plan has to actually fit into someone's real life, not a perfect version of it. So, my job is really just to stay curious, fully support my clients, understand where the resistance is coming from, and work together as a team so that it really does fit their real life. And yeah, understand just where the resistance is coming from and try to explain the why behind what we're doing. And usually that helps a lot and gets them on board.
Simply because of the nature of what we do as coaches, we're going to meet and work with people at various stages in their personal lives and even careers. Without sacrificing a lot of the results, how do you help clients balance some of these really aspirational goals with other life priorities that might create roadblocks or bring conflict?
Yeah, this is definitely so real, especially for the women I work with. These women are managing careers, marriages, kids, social lives, all the things. So the load is definitely real. And they still want to feel good in their bodies. They still have goals and they feel guilty a lot of the time that they can't just buckle down and do the thing. But in reality, it's not so much about buckling down. It's just that real life happens, it gets in the way. So it's a matter of figuring out how to balance real life with those goals. And that's what I really work hard at, especially in those beginning stages. I help my clients figure this out. So the best nutrition and training plan for someone is the one that they can actually stick to, not necessarily the most aggressive one, not the one that gets results the fastest, but one that they will actually sustain long term. So I spent a lot of time early in the coaching relationship really understanding someone's bandwidth, taking the time to see, okay, what is their week actually look like? What are their non negotiables? Where does stress tend to spike? What has worked before and what has derailed them before? Because I really want to build something around their life. And then once they see that they can realistically stick to something, this helps them build so much confidence over what they are capable of doing. So, they start nailing down their step goal because that's something we're tackling first. So once they start nailing that down, it gives them this confidence that I can do this, and maybe I could start tackling that next thing. I think just really also understanding goals are going to take longer sometimes, and life is going to get in the way, and that's okay. So I think those who see the best results are usually the ones that have removed their timeline and understand we are working on lifestyle changes here and not quick fixes.
I'm building Fitlete and the resource nexus for coaches and personal trainers to consistently preach a single message that continual learning is essential and it has compounding benefits for a lifelong career in this industry. What's one piece of valuable advice you give to aspiring coaches or coaches who have been in the game for a little bit but have stalled in their career?
The biggest thing I would tell aspiring coaches is understand what you're actually signing up for. Because I think a lot of people come into the space having gone through their own transformation, which is amazing. Um, they think, well, I did this, so I can help other people do it too. And I think that's a beautiful place to start. But then they think the job is just handing someone macros and a training plan and just checking in once a week. And truly, it is so much more than that. I think the biggest part of coaching that I don't think gets said enough is the mindset work. Is helping someone get out of their own way, is sitting with someone through their resistance and their fear and their self doubt and their, I've tried this before and it didn't work, and figuring out how to move them forward anyways. That's a big part of the work. So if you don't genuinely enjoy people, like really enjoy understanding how someone thinks and what makes them tick, then this is probably going to feel exhausting really fast. So you have to actually love that part of it. And then definitely on the education side, always be a learner. What works for one person is not going to work for the next. Everyone's body's different, histories are different, life circumstances are different. So invest in your education, keep digging deeper, invest in mentorships, get out there and meet people, attend in person events whenever you can. That is such a huge part of growth and learning from others with more experience. I mean, it's just the knowledge you get is invaluable, the experience you get is invaluable. And I think it's just a big part of it is to just always be a learner. And the last thing I'll say is don't wait until you feel ready. You're never going to really feel ready. That feeling doesn't come before you start, usually it comes after, as you're putting yourself out there and getting uncomfortable. So just trust that you'll figure it out as you go. That is how most coaches start. So just don't be afraid to fail.
That's all for this episode. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing some of this great info about yourself and what you do as a coach. I'm glad I got to know you a little bit more through this episode, and I'm glad some listeners got to know you for the very first time through this show. All your info is in the show notes, so anyone who's listening out there wants to stay in touch, please visit those show notes to find that information and reach out to them at any point. If you want to learn a little bit more about Fitlete and our resource nexus for coaches and personal trainers, visit fitlete.com. That's Fitlete.com. Thanks. I'll talk to you soon.